Today we're going to make some heart-shaped biscuits. Valentine's Day is coming up really quick, so we're continuing our savory themed week with our live today. So we're going to start by grating our butter, which I have a frozen stick here. I just use like the paper to hold it, and we're just going to grate the whole thing. And I do have this recipe on my website actually, and it was actually within my first few months of being on YouTube. I have a video about it too. So these are the cheddar and herb biscuits. Although we're switching up the cheese today, I didn't have any sharp cheddar already shredded on hand, so I'm using Parmesan today to switch it up. So like I said, we're just grating our butter. This is probably like the most tedious part of this process, but it turns out really, really well. Just want to make sure we're not getting into that paper in there. Hey, Dew! I'm so glad you could join today, too. Happy Friday. I hope you've had a good week. Let me know in the chat or when this gets posted later in the comments if you're a fan of biscuits and gravy. That's like one of my favorite. I don't have it often, but it's like one of my favorite things to get when I go out to like a restaurant or something. I love getting a variation of biscuits and gravy. Just so comforting. So I figured it would be perfect for our live today to be able to bake something, but also to make something comfort food themed to continue our week of savory comfort foods. Just keep shifting the paper so that I don't get it in the grater. Huge fan of biscuits, but not with gravy, just with butter. I also like them with jelly. That is also a classic. Hello, thank you for joining. We're just grating some butter for some biscuits. Hello, Arya. Thank you for joining. Hope I said your name right, Arya. I don't know if you... Hope I said that right. Happy Friday. We're making some biscuits. Just trying to grate this butter without grating my hand. It's always hardest when it gets down to like that little last bit. I like day-old biscuits with jelly. It's a favorite when I was a kid. Oh, really? What's specific about like day-old biscuits? Is it like they get a little bit crusty? Say Arya one more time. Arya. That makes me think of Game of Thrones. I don't know if you've seen that. Okay, careful, careful, careful not to grate my fingers. Okay, getting down to our last little bit here. Okay, sometimes I cut that last little bit just to make sure I don't cut my fingers. They're not as fluffy as fresh biscuits, a little more dense. Ooh, that does sound good. Do you like to toast them when you have them with jelly, or do you just like cut them open and have them like that? I feel like I like to toast them. Okay, trying to get our extra little butter pieces that got stuck inside here. Come on, butter. That looks pretty good. Okay, and I'm gonna spread this out just a little bit because I'm gonna stick it back in probably the freezer. I don't want it to get too clumpy. But I am gonna cut that little extra butter chunk really quick. Oops, shooting butter everywhere. Okay. Chop up that little butter chunk really quick and pop that in the freezer while we mix our dry ingredients. We want to keep our butter nice and cold so it'll help make everything nice and flaky. Just trying to cut it to teeny tiny pieces, almost like I grated it, not quite. Ish. Doesn't need to be perfect. That's also what I like about biscuits. They're like rustic and they don't have to be perfect. Okay. If you start with frozen butter, it can cut out the second cooling step. I did start with frozen butter, but it sometimes gets to room temperature a little bit faster at that point, so I'm gonna pop it in there while I'm mixing the dry ingredients. So I'm gonna take that really quick. It would have been even messier if I had not started with the frozen butter. Okay, I'm also trying to catch up at the same time. I don't know what that's about, Reba. Kind of a random thing in the chat. Anywho, we're going to mix our dry ingredients here. Okay, and I do have all the measurements on, like I said, the blog post, so I'll link that post later when this gets posted, but I will try to remember the increments. So I did 1 stick of butter, 1/2 cup, which is about 110 grams if I remember off the top of my head. Let's see. Good morning, Soy Celeste. Hi, Celeste. Welcome. Jenny, I'm not sure what that's about. No worries, I appreciate you being here, being a positive force in the chat. I'm just gonna block a couple weird people. Okay. And hi, Celeste. Thanks again for joining. We're making some biscuits today. We have about 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And then we're going to that add 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and I hope this bowl isn't cracked. Okay, and then a teaspoon of salt. I like your little batter bowl. Oh, thank you. These come in so handy for prepping. Thanks for sharing. Oh no, thank you for being here. Lots of trolls today. Unfortunately, it happens sometimes, but I appreciate all of you being here that are here to enjoy the live. Then we have a whole mixture of some herbs as well as some ground black pepper. So we have 1/2 teaspoon each of ground black pepper. I can't talk today. Ground black pepper, parsley, sage, thyme, and then 1/4 teaspoon of rosemary because it is a little bit stronger than the rest of them. And that is all of our measurements. We're gonna give that a little mix here. I just like to use a whisk. Just mix it in. Okay. And then we're gonna get our butter back out. And we're gonna add it right in. I always use a whisk for dry ingredients too. Right, it just makes things so much easier. Okay, I'm trying not to have my arm block the camera. So we're just gonna add in our butter. Just try and get everything in there. Damn it. Okay. The herbs sound great. I need to try that. Oh, definitely. Definitely recommend. And like I said, I will be linking the blog post for this one. And I usually use sharp cheddar. That's my favorite, but I'm trying out Parmesan today. We're just mixing the butter into our dry ingredients here. Break up any butter clumps that we have. But we want the butter to stay nice and cold, so we don't want to like hold it in our hands for too long. Just make sure it gets nice and dispersed. But because we're using frozen butter, it definitely stays in chunks better. So that's why I want to do that. Okay, we look pretty good. Oh, just a couple little clumpies right there. Okay, we look good. I'm gonna pop this in the freezer just for like a minute or so, just so that butter stays nice and cold. Usually I do like 10 minutes, but I think that's also when I've made these during the summer and it's like it gets hot really quick. So because it's cold today, we don't need to chill it for as long. But we can just make sure all of the rest of our stuff is ready to go. Okay. So for our cheese, like I said, usually I love sharp cheddar, but today we're using a cup of Parmesan cheese. And I don't believe I have the weighted ingredients on this particular blog post yet, so I'll have to update that at some point. And then we have our pan ready to go, parchment paper lined. It doesn't make a ton of biscuits, so that's why I'm using just like a little small pan here. Lined with parchment paper, and then I have my little heart cutter here that we're going to use to cut them out today. And I think that's all the rest of our stuff that we need to prep. Again, biscuits are super duper easy and they come together very quick. Oh, let me get something to roll out our biscuits. Okay, sometimes I use a cutting board, sometimes I use parchment paper. I'm just gonna do cutting board today. And then I have rolling pin, and I'll get a little bit extra flour out just in case. And then I feel like we have, one more ingredient that I have still chilling in the fridge just to make sure it stays nice and cold is it requires a cup of buttermilk, but I actually didn't have buttermilk on hand, so I decided to try out whisking together a 1-to-1 ratio of Greek yogurt and whole milk. So it makes it, it's thick, kind of like buttermilk. It has a little bit of that acidity because of the Greek yogurt. It's a little bit different, but it's a good substitute. So let's see, we can get our mixture out now. Okay, we're gonna add our cheese. Make sure all of our cheese gets in there. And then let's give that a little, I'm just gonna use a fork to mix it. This is definitely easier when it's the winter and not summer. Like I said, I have to chill it for a lot longer for the butter. Oh, and there's our oven. I preheated it to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Can't remember off the top of my head what that is in Celsius, but like I said, I'll have to update the blog post with metric. Ooh, I'm just like getting cheese and stuff all over the place. Okay, that's nice and mixed together. Let me clean up that really quick. Okay. I add vinegar to make buttermilk. It works pretty well. No way, that's sour milk. I have heard of that though, like adding vinegar or even like lemon juice to milk and making buttermilk. I have heard of that as a substitute. I mean, buttermilk is a type of sour milk, so that makes sense. Okay, so this is that mixture. You can see it's like thicker than milk, but not as thick as Greek yogurt. So we're just gonna add it in here. Make a little well. Oh, okay. Gonna mix that together. But I think you can use it as a buttermilk sup. Yeah, I've definitely heard of doing that. And I decided to look this up because I was like, I have Greek yogurt. I have whole milk. Let's see if I can mix them together. Because it does keep that like kind of thicker consistency that buttermilk has. So that's why I decided to roll with that today. Then we're just mixing this up until it kind of starts to come together. And we can start to, I like to use my clean hands after a little while just to make sure I get everything mixed together. I'm just trying to avoid that so again it doesn't melt the butter too much because we want it nice and cold when going in the oven so it makes it flaky. That's a vintage mixing cup. Yes, that's that's my mom's. I always use her baking stuff. I've tried both of those with pretty good success. Also used a mixture of milk and sour cream. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I do have sour cream as well. Okay, I'm gonna start mixing with my hands just to pull everything together. And let me get a little spoon for our flour. So we're ready to go. We're just gonna very lightly flour the work surface when we transfer over there, but we don't wanna do too much because we don't wanna mix too much extra flour in. But I'm just trying to combine everything here. Whoop. Just trying to make sure all that flour gets in there. Definitely could have grabbed the bigger bowl. Okay, might need to grab a little bit of milk to bring this together because it feels like it's a little bit too much dry ingredients still. Let's see. I just kind of like to like pinch and grab and see what kind of collects into a ball. Like it's a nice shaggy dough, but like I said, I think I need a little bit more, maybe a touch more milk, and also I'm gonna grab my bigger bowl. Okay, definitely more room for mixing. Just too tall to go in the freezer, so I usually don't use it for this kind of project. Okay. Yeah, so we have a good amount over here, but this is still pretty dry. So let's grab some milk and try and not get dough all over the kitchen. These are way drier than mine. With mine, no rolling pin is necessary, just hands. I wonder if that's a regional difference. I'm curious, what region are you from? It's been a little while since I've made biscuits, I think. Sometimes I need to add a little bit more liquid. But I like to roll them out because I like to try to kind of create a little bit of like flaky layers if I can. So that's usually why I like to roll them out a couple times. I'm from Georgia. Ah, yes. I'm California. Don't judge me. I really like biscuits and gravy, so I always just kind of like play around with them. But it has been quite a while since I've actually made biscuits. I just haven't had, hasn't been on my project list for a while, so I thought of that for today, and I got all excited. Okay, I'm gonna do just a teensy bit more. I fold them 3 times again by hand to give them the layers. Working them too much makes them tough. Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, I need to get going, but I will watch the rest later. Thank you so much, Stu. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Okay, just trying to make sure it connects everything, and then we can put it over on our station. Okay, let's bring, I like to put a little mat down, and then I need to get out. I think I have a pastry mat I got for like Christmas at one point. I need to get that out, but I'm just going to lightly flour. Okay. Oh, got a lot of dough stuck to the hands. 1 second, please. Okay. I'm actually going to wash my hands in between just because these are quite sticky. Okay. The dough looks stiff but nice. Oh, thank you. I like to make it, I don't know, like a good rollout where you just can like cut it out and it keeps its shape. Okay. So we're going to just lightly sprinkle with a little bit of flour. I like to put a little bit of flour on the corner down here on my board so I have it available. Flour our rolling pin and then roll it into like a rough triangle. Keep that floured. And then fold it into 3. I think that's called like the letter fold when you're doing dough, if I remember correctly from the classes I've taken. And then turn it, and we're gonna roll it again into that rough triangle. And like hold on, I wanna make sure I get your name right. Shuriken Zone, I hope I said your name right. Doing it too many times is going to make your biscuits tough, so we don't want to overwork the dough. Thank you for pointing that out. It's a great reminder. And just try to roughly shape it. And then we're just gonna roll out one more time, a little bit more flour on that rolling pin. Okay. A little bit wider there. Then we can start using our heart cutter to cut out. I like to have a little bit thicker biscuits personally. That's good pronunciation. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad I said it right. And making biscuits is a way of life in my neck of the woods. I'm always curious to see how other folks do it. Well, I appreciate you being here and giving some tips. Like I said, I love making biscuits. I just haven't done it in a while, and I am appreciative that you stopped by our live today. Oh, let me get my pan down here. We're just using a little heart cutter. There's our biscuit. And then I'm putting them on the pan, and I remember seeing a tip before. I can't remember from what, but the reason I started, when I first started making these, and I did my video years ago at this point, it says to put them right next to each other on the pan so they kind of like rise together. So that's why I'm putting them together so they're touching on the pan. Just trying to get as many hearts as we can. Very excited to see how the Parmesan turns out. Like I said, I usually just do cheddar, but I also do like a good Parmesan. There's something very soothing about just doing, you know, nice simple biscuit dough, cutting it out. I like that side's a little bit bigger. And then I was going to do something different for our short today, but I think today's live has inspired me. I think I'm going to switch it up and actually do something different. I'm going to make some gravy and then do a little video of putting some biscuits on or putting some gravy on our biscuits that we made here. He says, yep, very important for them to touch. They climb together. That way get by with a little help from their friends. That's true. I like that. Okay. Hi, I'm new. Hello, Omar. Thank you so much for joining. For today's live, we are making some Parmesan and herb biscuits that are shaped like hearts for Valentine's Day. I know it might seem early, but Valentine's Day is coming up real quick. See if I can get another one up here. I think like that's gonna work better. Okay. And I think I just need to re-roll the rest of this really quick. So it's about the same thickness. Just keep cutting until we have all of our hearts. I'm Arabic, by the way. Well, welcome, Omar. I'm glad you joined today. Do you guys have Popeyes there, the Louisiana fried chicken place? Yes, we do. I can tell you that your biscuits will have a similar texture to theirs, and theirs are great. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that I do love those biscuits for sure. I don't have them often, but I do enjoy them. I remember the first time I was introduced to Popeyes and I tried their biscuits, I was like, oh my goodness, these are amazing. I'm gonna only get one more out of this and then have to re-roll. Hopefully just one more time. We're getting a pretty good amount of biscuits out of this. Thank you. Oh no, thank you, Omar. Thanks for joining. Happy Friday. Hope you're having a good day. A little bit more flour over here. That's not so sticky. Oh, that was a little bit too. I'll fold it on itself. Try not to roll it up too much. I want it to be a similar thickness to the others, which I think that's pretty close. Just a little bit this way. I feel like I'm gonna have one little kind of messy, scrappy piece over in the corner. But I'm very excited. Thank you all for joining today for our biscuit live. I hope you guys are enjoying a little bit more baking lives while it's cooler. I mentioned trying out a few more of those before it gets too hot because California summer, my God. When it gets to the 100 degrees. I had to actually do baking for the California State Fair baking competition I entered, and it was like the hottest day of the week, and that was the day I had to do my baking for the competition, which is not fun. Let's see, do I even have space? I could try and make space. Come on, biscuit. I feel like maybe I'll just make like one big old biscuit and set it on the side for a different pan. I like the way that they're arranged right now on that one. All right, let's clean up our space a little bit. Omar, you live in Denmark. Oh, thank you for joining from Denmark today. I'm in California. I'm curious, what time is it in Denmark right now? Is it like late? Put all of our ingredients away. And then we're not going to stay on live to see what they look like after they're baked because that would just be 20 minutes of waiting for them to bake. But like I said, I will put together, I think I am going to do that for our short today. But here is what our biscuits look like. Aren't they so cute, little hearts? It's 7 p.m. Oh, wow. So, okay, not quite. I can't do math right now in my head. That's like 10-ish hours. Well, thank you for joining today. It's almost 11 where I am in the morning. But here's our biscuits. We're going to pop them in the oven, 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 22 to 25 minutes, and then take them out, brush them with a little bit of butter, and then we're going to pop them back in the oven for a couple more minutes until they're gorgeously golden brown. And like I said, I'll post some pictures. We're not going to stay on live while they're baking, but I'll make sure to post pictures. And I think I'm going to do that for the short today, is whip out some yummy gravy and do a little biscuits and gravy video for our short today. So I'm going to pop these in there. I'm starting with 22 minutes, just might depend on your oven, how long it'll take. And like I said, I'm just gonna put this on its own little separate pan to bake up. But do we have any other questions or comments to pop into the chat? Thank you all so much for being here today. And like I said, if you are enjoying a little bit more baking oriented lives during the cool season, winter and everything, let me know if you do want to see a little bit more of that kind of content before we, get into the summer heat where we do a lot of no bake stuff. Awesome. I enjoyed watching. Have a good one, and I'll look out for that short. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you were here today, and thank you for the tips as well. I really appreciate that. I always love learning new things or being reminded of things I might have forgotten because it's been a while since I've made them. So thank you. I bumped my bowl. Thank you so much to the Shuriken Zone for joining today and for all those tips. And like I said, if we have any more questions or comments to pop into the chat before we finish our live for today, let me know. I'm going to pop this little mound of dough on a different sheet pan. Let's see. Me too. I'll try to get some herbs and cheese next time. Oh, definitely. Let me know how you like it. They were kind of inspired by like the Red Lobster biscuits, but like, more of a, I don't know, breakfasty, I guess kind of like Popeye's version of those types of biscuits. Is why I tried them in the first place. So let me know how you enjoy that. I'm just going to roll us into like a little kind of ball disc thing. A couple extra pieces of dough. Any other questions or comments to pop into the chat? Like I said, let me know if you guys are enjoying more baking lives, if you want to see some more no-bake stuff during this time of year as well. I have a good Red Lobster biscuit clone recipe. Love them. Ooh, I love that. I don't think I've actually tried making a direct Red Lobster biscuit clone, but I love that idea. Because they're always solid. Okay, so it's kind of shaped into like it's a little misshapen one. Not for camera. Okay, do we have any other questions or comments to pop into our chat before we hop off? I'm not seeing anything new come in. Use Pioneer baking mix. Ooh, I haven't tried that. Okay, I'll have to look out for that. Thank you for the tip. Gonna make some notes later. You bring the perfect balance to life, like fries with ketchup or cereal with just the right amount of milk. Oh my gosh, that is such a sweet compliment. Thank you so much. And Pioneer baking mix for the clone recipe. Okay, got it. Thank you for that tip. I have been curious about trying to make like buttermilk or like the Red Lobster biscuits, but I just haven't looked into it. So thank you for that tip. I definitely want to look into that because I love them. I mean, when are biscuits bad, really? Omar is back. Thank you, Omar, for joining again. We're about to hop off, so if anybody has any last questions or anything to pop into the chat, let me know. Got a thumbs up from the Shuriken Zone. Okay. I'm not seeing anything new pop into the chat. Psycho says, let's go. Well, thank you again for joining, everybody. Keep an eye out for our shorts video for today, and I will try to make sure I get pictures up today or sometime this weekend of our biscuits and gravy together. And let's see, more stuff coming up soon, more shorts next week, of course, and our next live. I haven't finished planning the schedule, but I will try to get that updated ASAP so you guys can see when they're coming up and what we're going to be making. In the meantime, like I said, check out the shorts videos and all that kind of fun stuff coming up. And I'm also working on a tutorial for you guys for Valentine's Day. So keep an eye out for all the fun stuff. I hope you have a fabulous weekend, and yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.